Some people throw thorns in your path and expect you to bleed. But fate? It makes them walk barefoot over the very trap they set. That's how cosmic balance works. This universe has a memory. And when someone tries to sabotage a soul that's in alignment, it doesn't forget. It recalculates, rewinds, rebuilds, right in your favor. The critics, the silent watchers, the ones who smirked when you stumbled, they thought they were winning. They didn't know they were being watched, not by you, but by the very forces they pretend don't exist. The more they mocked you, the louder the echo of their own collapse became. It's ironic, isn't it? Their obsession with your downfall became the root of their own. Their lies turned into locked doors. Their envy grew heavy like chains. Meanwhile, you, the one they called too different, too intense, too much, you kept rising, quietly, unshaken, unreachable. Because when you're chosen, your power doesn't scream, it haunts. You walk in a rhythm that can't be copied, a force that unsettles the very people who tried to keep you small. They don't fear your words, they fear your silence, your glow, your refusal to break. This isn't just happening to anyone. This kind of chaos, betrayal, and reversal, it only surrounds the chosen. The average mind can't grasp it, and they never will, because this level of spiritual warfare and protection is reserved for you. Stay locked in till the end, because what's unfolding now isn't random. It's judgment, and it's time you saw just how deep it goes. Number 1. Never underestimate divine power. That's how they miscalculated and got crushed. You ever notice how the most misunderstood people are often the ones carrying the heaviest truth? There's something different about you. Always has been. Not just a sharp mind, not just emotional depth, but an invisible thread pulling you towards something bigger. You feel more, see more. Sense shifts in people before they even speak, and while others brush it off as paranoia or overthinking, you know it's something else, something you were born with. That's not weakness, that's awareness. And awareness is dangerous to those hiding behind masks. They saw your softness, your silence, your sensitivity, and thought they had you figured out. They assumed they could bend you, break you, use you as a pawn in their game. But what they didn't realize is that your spirit wasn't built for games. It was built for alignment. While they were playing checkers, you were receiving instructions from the deeper order of life itself. You were never one of them, and they hate that. What they thought was fragility was actually fire, pressure contained beneath calm eyes. You made them uncomfortable just by existing, because you reminded them of everything they couldn't manipulate. You didn't break when they expected you to. You didn't fold when they set the trap. And now, they're scrambling, because their entire plan is falling apart. Some call it karma, others call it energy returning to its source. But let's be real, it's cosmic accountability. They tried to take your spirit, your peace, your name, and now they're the ones losing theirs. Some are being exposed, some are facing legal consequences, and others, they're trapped in prisons they built with their own lies, mental, emotional, and in many cases, very literal. And you're still rising. That's what being chosen feels like. It's not about crowns and cameras. It's about being unshakable when the storm hits. It's about surviving what was designed to destroy you, and doing it so gracefully, it haunts the people who swore they'd see you fall. No, you're not imagining it. This isn't just bad luck for your enemies. They're going down because they came for someone the universe protects. Someone the world doesn't always understand, but can never deny. You were never here to blend in. And the same energy that made you feel isolated is the same energy that's now positioning you to rise above everyone who tried to bury you. They thought they could take you out, Now look, they're the ones facing the sentence. And you're just getting started. Number 2. Stop retaliating. The boomerang of evil always comes back harder. You don't have to clap back. You don't have to explain, defend, or expose them. Because the very energy they sent toward you is already circling back, and it's coming for them twice as hard. You see, the universe doesn't miss. It may not speak with words, but it keeps receipts. Every hidden jab, every fake smile, every plot that was whispered in the shadows. They thought they got away with it because you stayed silent, but what they didn't know was that your silence was a weapon, a calm before the reckoning. And now, the boomerang is in motion. What they tried to take from you, your peace, your name, your spirit, is now crumbling in their hands. You didn't retaliate, and that's what's making it worse for them. Because now, they can't blame anyone. There's no distraction, no scapegoat, no way to twist the story. All that venom they spit in your direction, it's now poisoning their own lives. That's how it always works with chosen ones. You are too protected, too aligned, and too elevated for petty revenge. Your absence hurts more than your presence. Your glow bothers them more than your words ever could. And that's why they're spiraling, because they expected chaos, but got silence. They wanted a war, but got a wall. Let them talk, let them throw shots, let them lie. Just don't pick up the boomerang they threw. Let it return to them with full force, because what's coming isn't just a consequence, it's a collapse. And it's not your hands doing the damage, it's the weight of their own intentions coming home to roost. Remember this, retaliation is a distraction, but elevation, that's revenge with interest. You are a mirror. You reflect people back to themselves, and when they throw hate, it's not absorbed, it's amplified, redirected, and returned. So stand still, let them think they've won. Because while they celebrate your silence, they don't realize it's the sound of a storm building, and they're the target. Number 3. Don't let ego fool you. It's the fastest road to self-destruction. There's something deadly about ego, not the kind that helps you stand tall, but the kind that makes your enemies believe they're untouchable. That puffed-up illusion of control, the twisted belief that they could hurt you without consequence. That's what led them straight to their own destruction. They thought they could play God in your life. They believed their status, their connections, their manipulation gave them the upper hand. They forgot that the universe always balances itself. And when ego blocks the truth, reality comes crashing down like a hammer. See, ego is loud. It overestimates itself and underestimates everyone else. Your enemies thought your silence was weakness. They thought your distance was defeat. But what they didn't realize is that you were never competing with them. You were being protected from them. And while they laughed, plotted, and ran their mouths, the trap they were setting was already under their own feet. Ego made them believe they'd get away with it. But ego is a blindfold. It blocks reason. It silences warning signs. It makes people arrogant enough to step into fires they can't control. And now, that same ego is exposing them in courtrooms, in public scandals, in private breakdowns behind closed doors. This isn't just karma. This is what happens when people try to destroy someone who was never in their reach to begin with. Your enemies weren't fighting you. They were fighting the forces surrounding you. They were battling balance, and ego always loses that fight. Now the mask is cracking. Their allies are turning. Their name is starting to rot. And suddenly, the one they mocked, you, is still standing while their world falls apart. That's the price of arrogance. So remember this, ego doesn't make someone powerful. It makes them reckless. And those who tried to tear you down, they didn't just lose you. They lost everything chasing a version of power that was never real. You survived the fire they set. They didn't. And that's what makes you chosen. Number 4. When jail becomes a stage, God will humble them publicly, so let him. Some people thought they could get away with everything: lies, schemes, manipulation, destruction. They wore fake smiles, hid behind connections, and moved like shadows in power. But the thing about shadows, they disappear when real light steps in. And you, chosen one, you are that light. They tried to drag your name through the mud while theirs was wrapped in gold. They whispered lies behind your back and laughed when they thought you'd never bounce back. But now, their mask is cracking. The same hands that tried to write your ending are signing their own confession. See, the world has a strange way of evening things out. Not in whispers, but in full display. Jail isn't just about locked cells, it's about exposure. It's about stripping away the illusions and letting the truth hit the stage. And when people who moved like puppeteers start getting caught in their own strings, it's not coincidence. It's the universe flipping the script. They never imagined they'd be the ones behind bars, physically, socially, or spiritually. But when the one they tried to bury refuses to stay quiet, life has no choice but to deliver consequences out loud. That's what's happening now. And here's the most powerful part. You didn't have to scream. You didn't have to get revenge. You didn't even have to prove your pain. Your silence was loud enough. Because when the chosen are targeted, the universe doesn't whisper justice. It makes a scene out of it. Their jail isn't just a punishment, it's a public display. It's a headline, a fall from a throne they were never meant to sit on. And you, the one they tried to erase, you are the silent proof that integrity always wins. So let it unfold. Watch without reacting, because what they're facing now, it's not just a moment, it's a lesson. And the spotlight they once used to outshine you, now it's exposing them. Number 5. Assassination plans always fail. Here's why you're still standing. They didn't just want to see you hurt. They wanted you gone, emotionally wrecked, spiritually drained, broken in a way you could never bounce back from. That's how deep their plan went. It wasn't just petty jealousy or random gossip. This was a calculated takedown, a spiritual assassination disguised as friendship, family, or love. But here's what they didn't see coming. You were built different. They targeted you like you were common, like your fall would be easy. But no matter how sharp their words were, how vicious their schemes became, or how many lies they whispered into the ears of others, you're still here, not just alive, thriving, breathing, creating, elevating. And that burns them more than any revenge ever could. Because when someone plans your destruction and you survive it, you become the proof that their power failed. That's why they look uncomfortable when you walk in the room. That's why they avoid your eyes. They don't fear what you'll do. They fear what your survival says about them. Every plan they made fell flat. Every secret move collapsed. Why? Because the universe doesn't allow certain souls to be touched. You weren't meant to be destroyed. You were meant to be revealed. Their attempt to silence you became the loudest announcement of who you really are. And the more they tried to bury you, the more obvious it became that you don't die easy. They underestimated the protection over your life, the alignment that surrounds your journey. They couldn't see the spiritual armor on your back, the unshakable energy in your spirit. And now they're left to deal with the aftermath of a war they started and lost. Let that sink in. They came to assassinate your peace, your character, your purpose. But now they're the ones breaking, facing real-world consequences, losing things they never thought they'd lose, because you can't target a chosen one and expect to walk away untouched. The plan failed. The target lived. And now, the survivor is rising higher than they ever imagined possible. You weren't just supposed to survive. You were meant to make survival look like victory. Number 6. Their control is an illusion. Let the reversal of roles speak for you. Control is a drug, and your enemies were addicted to it. They built their lives around keeping you beneath them, manipulating the room before you even walked in, crafting narratives, pulling strings, playing power games like they were untouchable. They wanted you confused, small, uncertain, because your clarity threatened their control. But here's the twist. What they called control was always an illusion, a fragile mask dressed up as power. And the moment you stopped feeding it, the entire act started to fall apart. You see, when you're chosen, silence becomes strategy, distance becomes protection, and detachment, that's the most powerful move on the board. You didn't beg, you didn't explain, you just removed your energy. And when you did, something strange happened. They started to unravel, because their power was never real. It only existed when you were still playing their game. They thought they were running things. Now they're running scared. Tables are turning, fast. The same mouths that mocked you are being exposed. The same hands that tried to sabotage you are caught in the traps they set. The roles have reversed, and this time it's not you who's on trial. It's them. And you're just watching the script flip. Because that's what happens when the chosen stop entertaining chaos. When you walk away with your dignity, the universe walks in with the consequences. This isn't revenge, it's revelation. The ones who tried to write your ending are now struggling to rewrite their own beginnings. And no amount of lies, gossip or manipulation can save them from the spotlight that's now on their actions. They thought they had control, but now the only thing they control is how they fall. Let it happen. Let the reversal of roles speak louder than any comeback. That's the justice reserved for the ones who walk in purpose, not performance. You didn't need revenge, you just needed time. And the truth took care of the rest. Number 7. When silence hurts, remember this. God's quiet is a setup, not a shutdown. There's a silence only the chosen ones understand. It's not the absence of sound. It's the stillness that hits when you've cried, prayed, or stood your ground, and nothing seems to happen. It's that pause in the chaos where you start to question everything. Why did they get away with it? Why haven't they faced consequences? Why am I the one left in pain while they laugh and move on? But here's the truth most people can't handle. Silence is strategy. Stillness is setup. You're not being ignored, you're being positioned. Because when you're truly chosen, life doesn't rush justice. It builds it, brick by brick, in secret, behind the scenes, in ways your enemies will never see coming. They think your silence is weakness. They mock your patience. They tell stories, twist facts, and walk boldly like they've won. And all the while, they don't realize they're walking straight into their own downfall. That's how karma works. It doesn't shout. It waits. And it strikes when they've gotten too comfortable, too cocky, too convinced that they escaped the storm. But the truth? The storm was watching the whole time. See, when you're chosen, your silence isn't empty. It's sacred. It holds weight, and it drives your enemies insane. Because they expected a reaction, not your evolution. They wanted your destruction, not your rebirth. While they're out there acting untouchable, life is setting the stage. Witnesses are being gathered, truths are being revealed, and justice? It's getting dressed for the spotlight. So if you're in the silent season right now, don't break, don't speak, don't chase. you're not being punished, you're being preserved. They failed to take your life, and now they won't even be able to protect their own. Because silence isn't your shutdown, it's their setup. And when it breaks, the noise will be unforgettable. Number 8. Don't just live. Leave a legacy that buries theirs in shame. There's a difference between surviving and stamping your name into history. Anyone can live, but the chosen ones, we're not here just to exist. We're here to leave a mark so undeniable, it makes our enemies wish they never spoke our names. You weren't meant to just pass through life. You were born to echo. And the irony is, the very people who tried to silence you only ended up making your voice louder. They wanted your story to die in a rumor, to rot in the shadows of false accusations and whispered lies. But now look at the scoreboard. Their names are being tied to scandals, their reputations crumbling like ash in the wind, while yours is being written in bold ink, solid, untouched, revered. The world forgets cowards, manipulators, and backstabbers, but it remembers the ones who stood tall in the fire and walked out without a scar. This is what they never understood. Destroying you wouldn't have just removed a person. It would have killed a purpose, and the universe doesn't let that happen. Not when you're aligned, not when you're chosen. Their mission was to erase your future, but now they're watching you become everything they said you'd never be. And the twist? Their entire legacy is being buried beneath the weight of their own decisions, while yours is rising like gold from the rubble. Let them talk, let them squirm, because what's written on your life can't be reversed, and what's crashing down on theirs can't be undone. So don't just live, walk like you're building something eternal, a name that means something, a presence they can't erase, even in silence, because when it's all said and done, your legacy will shine, theirs will rot, and no jail cell apology or fake redemption arc will save them from that truth. Number 9. Stay ready. Divine justice moves instantly when it's time. The downfall doesn't always come slow. Sometimes it hits instantly, like a trap snapping shut. One moment they're laughing behind your back, plotting, moving in shadows, and the next, silence, exposure, chaos. That's what happens when you play with fire you were never meant to touch. See, chosen ones don't move on your time. We move on divine timing. And when that timing hits, everything changes fast. No warning, no pause, no escape. The same mouths that once disrespected you, suddenly speechless. The same hands that tried to sabotage you, now cuffed by their own actions. That's not coincidence, that's precision. You're not the one who has to fight loud. You're the one who was told to be still, because real power doesn't need to scream. It waits, it watches, and when the time is right, it strikes so clean, there's no room left for doubt. And here's the part they never saw coming. They thought your silence meant you were losing, but you were actually in alignment. And when you're aligned, justice isn't just fair, it's unstoppable. So stay ready, keep your spirit sharp, keep your peace protected, because when the shift hits, and it will, you won't need to explain yourself. Their consequences will be loud enough for everyone to hear. Let them wonder how it happened so fast. Let them choke on the silence that once gave them confidence. Because when it's time, and justice doesn't miss. You were built to survive the waiting season. They were not built to survive the fall. Number 10. Spiritual immunity is real. This is how you keep winning quietly. They threw everything at you: lies, slander, isolation, manipulation. They smiled in your face and plotted behind closed doors, convinced that this time you'd finally crumble. but you didn't. And they can't figure out why. It's not because you're lucky. It's not because you're untouched by life's storms. It's because you have something they'll never understand: spiritual immunity, a kind of invisible armor the average person doesn't carry, the kind that absorbs chaos and turns it into power, the kind that repels envy, redirects hate, and silences attacks without you lifting a finger. This immunity doesn't make your life easier. It makes you unstoppable. You take hits, yes, but they don't break you. You've bled, but you didn't bow. You've cried in silence, but your glow never dimmed. And that haunts them, because your quiet survival keeps exposing their loud failure. They don't get it. You don't need to clap back. You don't need a crowd to validate your worth. You don't even need revenge. You just stay aligned and watch how everything they throw circles back to destroy them. That's the power of being chosen. While they're burning energy trying to take you down, you're still rising, untouched, unbothered, and unbreakable. So let them wonder, let them whisper, let them spin their next plot. Because you walk with something deeper, and they're finally starting to realize it can't be touched. Number 11. Jail isn't just steel. Watch them rot in the spiritual cell they built. Jail isn't just made of bars. It isn't always orange jumpsuits and metal doors. Sometimes it looks like fake smiles cracking under pressure. It looks like silence echoing louder than applause. It looks like someone who thought they won, now waking up every day with no peace, no purpose, and nowhere to run. The prison they're in? They built it with their own hands. Every lie they told about you, a brick, every manipulation, a lock, every scheme, another step into the cell. They thought they could move in shadows forever. But the thing about darkness is, it doesn't protect, it reveals. And now, their secrets are screaming louder than your silence ever did. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't need revenge. They're already serving a sentence crafted by their own choices. Their guilt haunts them. Their shame follows them like a scent they can't wash off. They can't sleep right, can't breathe easy. Because when you go after someone chosen, you don't just face external consequences. You pay in silence, in loneliness, in spiritual decay. That's why they can't enjoy anything. They're surrounded by people, yet feel completely alone. Wealth can't help them. Status won't save them. And pretending won't protect them from the storm they called in. Meanwhile, you, unbothered, untouched, unbreakable, are still rising. That's the difference between someone who moves with alignment and someone who moves with ego. Their cell has no key. And the wildest part? They locked themselves in. And now, all they can do is rot in the silence they tried to force on you. Number 12. God's wrath doesn't miss. It hits the one thing they couldn't protect. Some people thought they were untouchable. Untouchable because of their money, their reputation, their influence, or the secrets they thought they buried. But here's the truth the world keeps proving. No one is above consequence, especially when they go after someone who was never theirs to break. They aimed at your spirit, your mind, your peace. They tried to destroy you in ways that didn't leave bruises, but left scars. But here's the catch. They didn't just come for you. They triggered a response they weren't prepared for. Because when the universe balances the scale, it doesn't aim where they're strong. It hits them where they're weakest. It goes straight for the one thing they swore would never fall, their carefully built mask, their identity, their name. That one area they thought they had locked down, untouchable by exposure or loss. That's where the hit lands. They thought you'd fold. Instead, you're glowing. They thought they could silence you. Instead, their own voice is fading. under investigations, shame, and the weight of their own actions. When someone targets a chosen one, the return is never random. It's surgical. It doesn't show up in the way they expected. It shows up in the way that breaks them. And what breaks them is not your revenge. It's their own reflection, their own downfall, their own crumbling reality. The truth? They didn't fear your strength. They feared that you'd survive. And now that you have, they're living proof that wrath doesn't roar, it pinpoints. And this time, it hit the one thing they couldn't protect. So as the dust settles and the masks fall, remember this. The downfall of your enemies was never just coincidence. It was a direct response to their obsession with your destruction. What they tried to ruin only elevated you, and what they swore would finish you became the start of your rise. Chosen ones don't crumble, they awaken. And now the world is watching their punishment and your power unfold in real time. If this message shook something in you, like this video, subscribe to stay covered, and share it with someone who needs to know the tables always turn.